We good? We good. All right, so I'm Michael Taft. We're going to do some meditation here tonight, but first we are going to do a little tiny bit of stretching. So the rules for the stretching are don't hurt yourself. Okay, so follow what I'm doing if you feel like it, but if it seems too much in any way, don't do it. So it's on you if you do too much. Okay? With that really friendly warning, it's like a legal contract you just signed by staying in the room. Let's begin stretching just a tiny bit. So just take a couple deep breaths, like cheesy deep breaths, like make them feel really nice. A couple, three. And then on the next one, let's lift up towards the ceiling. You can go up on your toes if you want. Stretch, stretch, stretch. Get your rib cage really open. Look up. Keep breathing. Don't stop breathing. Back a little bit. Back a little bit. Okay. Then come down to star pose. Take a nice big breath. And then down as far as you can get. And then we're going to stay there breathing, not holding your breath. Let your head flop. And then just sitting here breathing, letting your back open. Go as far down as you feel comfortable. Then bend one knee, getting a stretch on the other leg. Then bend the other knee and stretch the first leg. Come back to center, keep breathing. It's really good for indigestion. Breathe in, come very slowly back up to the center. Very good, doing what feels right. Okay. Now let's do some side ones. So this way, as far down as you can go, get that top side way open. Way open, way open. Keep breathing, don't hold your breath. Come up to the center. Take a nice breath there. And then this way. Keep breathing. Come up to the center. Bring your feet back closer, not all the way together, and then we're going to hula hoop. Want to get your lower back really nice and open, loose, relaxed. You can go back the other way. If you can, circle your arms at the same time. Might be too hard. You can go the other way. Woo! There you go. Okay, now because we have these nice big cushions, we can do this one. I don't want anyone to do this on the wood floor, but if this is open to you, sit like this. Remember, don't do this if you're gonna like pop your knee or something. And then simply lean back as far as you can, even if it's your head on the floor. And stretch your thighs. And breathe while you're here. And then come back up. When ready, last thing we're going to do is Baddha Konasana. So have your soles of your feet together and then try it and get those knees down as far as they'll go. And if you want, you can kind of flap your wings. So this is how we levitate. When you get really good at this, you flap the wings and you rise up off the cushion. Because you've removed so much sin that you're as light as a feather. Okay. That feels good. So as usual, as probably everyone in here knows, we're going to sit for an hour. If you don't believe you can sit for an hour without moving a bunch or being in tremendous pain, take this moment to get a chair. There are more chairs. So don't be shy. You'll feel a lot shyer when you're screaming in agony. Believe me. I'm going to lead a guided meditation, but you are not required to follow the guidance. Do whatever meditation you want, as long as it's quiet and motionless. We want a lot of quiet and motionless. If you absolutely must move, I want you to move really, really, really super slowly so that it is, so that the person next to you can't even hear you moving, like that slow. Okay? I'm just doing a count here. Okay. I think that's it. Everyone's got their cell phone turned off, right? If you're not sure, please right now get up and turn it off. Okay, so what I want you to do is check in with yourself. Ask yourself the question, what's it like to be me right now? And then look. How's your brain space? Anything leaking or super chaotic in there? Whatever, it's all good. Let it be exactly the way it is. But just check what's going on. How's your emotional world? Might be all chill, might be super joyous, might be a hellscape of terror and pain. Whatever it is, just let it be that way right now. So just check in with yourself very, very directly, very clearly. And then don't try to change it. Just let it be there. Very good. This is a great group tonight. To feel the energy in here, this is awesome. Good. So what I want you to begin by doing is just allowing your mind to fall open. So it's very spacious, naturally spacious. The mind, when it's not constricted down on a thought or feeling or something, is just naturally spacious. So it's not something you have to do. You just sort of stop trying to concentrate and it will fall open. So let the mind be naturally wide open. And then just allow the breath to be there. You're not concentrating on the breath. You're not narrowing attention on the breath. You're simply allowing the breath wave to rise and fall and rise and fall in awareness, right? Awareness is aware of everything. It's certainly aware of the breath rising and falling. So there's nothing special needed here. We're just relaxed and open, natural breathing, rising and falling. And just noticing that along with everything else. I'm going to chant some mantras while you do this, just a short bit of mantra. Om Ganganapate Namaha. 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 Om Bhurva Swaha. Om Tat Savitur Varenyam. Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi. Dhyo Yo Na Prachodayat. Om Gate Gate Parasamgate Bodhi Swaha. Om Gate Gate Parasamgate Bodhi Swaha. Om Gate Gate Parasamgate Bodhi Swaha. So continuing to just allow the mind to be a wide open, vast, sky-like space, naturally, just letting it stay loose and open, noticing the breath rising and falling, but without trying too hard. We're just noticing it like we would notice anything, like birds outside or an itch in your foot. You're just noticing the breath wave rising and falling, rising and falling. And while you continue to do that, just allow your face and head to relax. We're staying absolutely still now, just totally still. So let your eyes and your eye muscles release and your jaw relax so your upper and lower teeth are not touching. If there's any fixed, tight expression in your face, just let that relax. Even let your lips and tongue relax. Right? We're not focusing hard on that. We're just, in a very natural way, just sort of releasing tension. And then allow your throat and neck to relax and open. The throat relaxing is that muscle that when you relax it, your voice deepens. So you just let that one relax as if your voice were deepening. And allow all the tension to release from your shoulders and your arms and your hands. So they become very, very, very relaxed. Very at ease, very gentle and soft and open. And notice already with this level of body relaxation that it becomes incredibly easy and effortless to just drop now into a much deeper and more complete, open, released, letting go. You can't help it. And And then as you continue to allow the breath wave to simply rise and fall like a wind in the sky of the mind. Allow your chest and upper back to release tension and relax and let go. And the diaphragm becomes gentle and soft and open. Feels so good when your diaphragm relaxes even a little bit. And we allow the belly region to open and release, and just the belly just kind of flops forward. And the kidney region in back relaxes and opens. And just allow the breath wave to rise and fall in the sky of the mind. Noticing also how pleasant letting go in the body feels. Some people here kind of focus a lot on the parts that are still tense. Don't do that. Focus on the parts that are relaxed and open. Notice the part that is released, the part that is gentle and soft and at ease. And let the parts that are tense just do whatever they want. But again, we notice with the whole head and arms and now even the torso relaxed, that it's possible to reach even much more deeply inward and find a kind of profound sense of letting go and releasing and opening is now available. Almost like sloughing off an old suit of armor, clanks heavily to the floor. You just feel released and open and light and at ease. And continuing to allow this refreshing breath wave to rise and fall like wind in the sky of the mind. Allow the pelvic region to relax and your hip joints to release and open, and your legs to relax and the tension to drain out of your legs and feet. So that the whole lower body finds a real sense of ease and peace. Even the soles of your feet are relaxed and open. The palms of your hands are wide open. Your lips are untense, relaxed, restful. And just notice that now on each out breath, there's a kind of a wave of release that passes through the whole body. You breathe in and it feels like delicious, nutritious, enlivening in-breath. And then on the out-breath, there's just like letting go, letting go, letting go, just sloughing off layer after layer of residual tension, so that each out-breath is bringing a true sense of letting go and ease. So let's do that together for a little while here. Each time the mind contracts around an object of focus, just let go of that and the mind will just fall back open into spaciousness and ease. We're not focusing on anything. Good. So now we're going to work with the Mandala practice that I've taught several occasions on YouTube. So this involves some imagination, some visualization, but it doesn't mean you have to be good at making pictures in your head. Remember, we're staying nice and still, not doing anything but sitting. So into this vast sky of the mind that's wide open, like a totally open screen. I want you to picture in front of you a yellow sphere of bright light like a sun. And it's very warm and inviting. And this is the light of spiritual guidance and inspiration. So coming from this light in front of you, you can picture wisdom and inspiration and guidance flowing into you. Really feel those flavors of wisdom, clarity, inspiration, guidance. And if you want to, you can even populate this forward area of spiritual guidance with figures such as the Buddha or Christ or whatever works for you. But the important thing is you feel this energy coming from in front. It's not so much about making good pictures as feeling that. On the other hand, if you can get a really nice, bright yellow light of inspiration, that's good too. And just feel that pouring into you, blessing you, offering you guidance, helping you go deeper. Bringing you into right relation with yourself and the world. Really stay with it. Good. Now we can do these in different order. On your left side, off to your left, picture a green heart, a beautiful emerald green heart shape. And in this quadrant are all your beloveds, the beings who you love, and who love you. Friends and family, community, and so on. So populate that with beings if you want, or just feel the love, or both. Most important is that you feel both love towards and love coming in. Who do you actually love? And who loves you? And feel that coming from that left side where there is this green heart. Keep feeling that sense of belonging and community and communion. That's really at home in this love quadrant. And that opens your heart and melts your defenses and brings up your vulnerability and sensitivity and beauty. Beauty is very important in this practice. Good. Now, on your right side are your protectors, where you see a red, bright red, fire engine red triangle, the point upwards. And this is the sharp energy of protection and being looked out for. Who has your back? That's who we populate this quadrant with. Again, as usual, this can be folks you know, animal companions, or spiritual beings, or all of the above. But it's a very sharp, fierce energy of protection that is on your side. And let the vivid, sharp brightness of that red triangle shine in the mind. And feel the protected nature. If you're feeling tired, sit up straight, keep your back really upright, really straight, and you might want to open your eyes. You can do the whole visualization with your eyes open. Feel that energy. It's very beautiful protector energy. Good. Now behind us, there is a dark blue square, shining bright dark blue. And that is the area of the ancestors. These can be both our human and animal physical ancestors, but also our spiritual lineage ancestors. Those who paved the path before us, those who are in our lineage, those who still offer us protection, guidance, and groundedness. There's a real positive sense of having come from somewhere and being part of that chain of energy that's been passed on from the very beginning. Notice the sense of being held and almost like walked with that comes from this quadrant of the ancestors. Now see them all at once, the yellow sphere in front, the green heart on the left, the red triangle on the right, the blue square behind. And feel all of those energies at once, the spiritual guidance, wisdom, clarity and compassion, the love and tenderness and vulnerability and openness, the fierce protective energy, sense of being held in safety, and from behind that energy of guidance, of groundedness, of lineage. Stay with all of that at once. And feel all of that filling you up. And now, something we haven't done very much before in this practice, open up to the energy of the earth below. There's no shape for this, it's just a sense of going all the way down, down, down to the center of the earth and feeling the earth energy coming up, even more grounding, even more stabilizing. All the tension can drain out that direction. Tremendous amount of stability and humility and nobility coming from the earth below. But it's interesting, you notice an energy coming upward from that. Very good. And then from above, a brilliant point of light. Bright light shining down, pouring into the top of your head. It's mainly white. It has some edges of pink and purple, but very, very bright and very gentle and awake, right? This energy is wide awake. This is just universal spiritual energy. Feel that pouring down in to your whole mind and body, as well as the earth energy coming up from below. And they mix in your heart. Allowing you to become even more vulnerable, even more open, even more awake, even more beautiful, even more sensitive and alive. You may notice something moving around in there, things shifting, maybe coming into a more comfortable position within, things integrating, things healing. And just breathe with that. Breathing the earth energy up, the universal energy down, and feeling all that energizing and grounding, awakening, enlivening, clarifying, and healing everywhere in your being. Very good. Now thank the energy of spirit in front and the energy of love on the left. Thank the energy of protection on the right and the ancestors in back. Thank the earth energy and the sky energy, spirit energy. And then just let it all go. The whole mandala vanishes. And from there, I want you to simply rest as space, wide awake space, with the mind alighting on nothing in particular. Just staying wide awake and wide open, completely relaxed and at ease. Just allow the mind to stay completely relaxed and open. Thoughts may be coming and going, but we're not attaching onto any of them at all. Not engaging them at all. They're just nebulous wisps of moving energy. Emotions may be present, positive or negative emotions, that's fine. But we're not engaging with them. For now, they're just nebulous, continuously impermanent moving energy. Neither good nor bad, but energy. Anytime the mind contracts at all, notice that contraction and just relax. And let it come back to wide open, easy, natural spaciousness. The space that is always there. That has always been there. From beginningless time. Good. Now, notice everything. The sounds of the room, which are simply floating through awareness, but clear and various and rich in harmonics. Notice the sights of the world around you with color and shape and texture and vibrancy and beauty. Notice emotions which are rich and deep and poignant, urgent, embodied. Notice thoughts or thinking which are fast and multifarious, enigmatic, mundane, doing their thing. Feel the sensations of the body, which are very familiar and yet somehow totally new. And all the other things, smells, tastes, memories, all of experience arising, tremendously rich, tremendously varied, bright, and yet somehow just appearing like magic in awareness, with no basis, no ground, simply spontaneously flashing as appearances in awareness. Utterly sublime and utterly shocking, and yet completely mundane. And behind all that appearance, simultaneously is a vertiginous chasm of total voidness. And both are present at once. This utterly shockingly beautiful appearance. And a deep well of pure potential. And that is its own kind of naturally occurring mandala. The mandala of this moment, and this moment, and this moment. A spontaneous peacock-like display within primordial purity, shining and shining in the void. forever perfect and complete. What is having this experience? Good. Let's end the meditation there. Feel free to move and stretch. So we're doing some visualization there. And as I said a couple times, you don't have to actually be able to, see vivid pictures. Some people can't see vivid pictures. If you can, that's cool. But if not, that's okay too. Just feel the energy I'm describing and that works perfectly well. In most of the non-dual traditions, it would be quite traditional to start out doing visualizations like that, or even just meditating on external visual objects like a rock in front of you or something instead of the breath. They usually use visual objects and then switch eventually to internal visual objects. So it's pretty traditional to work in that way. What's interesting, though, is in a lot of meditation that we encounter in the West, people are very reluctant to imagine anything. There's a sense somehow that that's just proliferating thinking or kind of making the problem worse or working too hard or whatever. But of course, that's not the case. The imagination is part of experience and a deep, rich part of our psyche. And it's also, it's our dreams. It's beautiful. Incredibly important part of our practice is beauty. And we also see where, in the types of practice where we're encouraged to never imagine, they're also encouraged to not really, I don't know, you don't hear much talk about beauty. But that's a huge part of what we're doing here. And even though, of course, sometimes you want to be able to see the imagination as empty or work with a quieter mind, that is not in any way in conflict with having a rich, powerful imagination. And in fact, the rich, powerful imagination is incredibly helpful for what we're doing. As I've often said, the fact that our kind of most basic nature is awareness means that anything we're imagining about awareness that is in alignment with that is not, it's not imagination in the sense that it's fake or wrong. It's just getting us more in tune with that most basic sense of open space, open awareness. So for example, if I say, meditate like you're the sky, pretend you're the sky, often people will be like, well, I'm just imagining the sky. And that's okay. Imagine the sky. That's not exactly what we're doing, but I guarantee if you imagine the sky, particularly with a sense of spaciousness and openness and freedom, and you're starting to get into exactly the open awareness space just by imagining it. So you can't go far wrong there. So this way of working with the imagination is super useful and really powerful. Like the Mandala practice that I just showed you, which is that particular version of it, is something I created. It's not from any particular tradition in that form, even though mandala practices in general are super traditional. That particular form is one that I created. When we do that, the qualities we're describing end up being the qualities of your own Buddha nature, the qualities of your own awake awareness. So even though we're imagining it, it's actually more or less getting us in contact with our own deepest nature. And furthermore, of course, also in contact with whatever beings we're imagining, right? Spirit beings or our friends or loved ones or whatever. So there's a lot there in mandala practice, and it gives us a large number of ways of working. We can use it psychologically or for healing or for doing very particular spiritual work or for, if you notice an area of the quadrant, one of those quadrants is lacking in some way, it feels like you can't really get in touch with it, like go do work on that quadrant and so on. There's a lot of different possible uses, sort of a skeleton key practice. But furthermore, you all have heard me talk about the difference between kind of awake awareness, what I call like awake awareness 1 and awake awareness 2, right? Or non-duality 1 and non-duality 2. But just as a reminder, it's, the first kind of non-duality, we're just noticing that the non-separation between self and others, self and world, self and objects in the world, that sense of being one with everything. And that is an aspect of non-duality, and it's very important. But lots of traditions just stop there. And in fact, they use that sense of non-duality there to really get into the emptiness that, or the awareness that holds it all, right? And so it's a kind of sticking with just the void part, right? Since everything is arising as sort of one unified whole, we look at the space they're arising in. That's either, we can call it just awareness space or void, emptiness, whatever. And that is taken as a kind of transcendental, ultimate final thing. That's God, or that's the true awareness, or whatever. And it's not that that's wrong, that's good as far as it goes, but it does not go far enough. That takes us into transcendence, that takes us into just voidness, and then drops us there. And there's a way that it kind of negates the world. In most traditions that talk just that one kind of non-duality, there it's basically that the world is a kind of illusion, or even a delusion, something that is like blocking us from seeing the transcendent oneness. So that, as I say, that's good as far as it goes, but we go further than that, not just the non-duality between ourself and the world, ourself and others, but all of that, we'll say awareness or uh, emptiness, the non-duality between that and all the form. Right? So instead of transcending into kind of this empty voidness of sort of like the oneness of God energy or whatever, we notice that every single part of experience is also completely awake. Everything. The sights, the sounds, the sensations, the thoughts and feelings, everything that's happening, every arising is utterly, completely wide awake with that same transcendental Buddha mind. But at that point, it's not transcendental, right? It's entirely also immanent. It's effulgent in all of experience. So we let go of the duality between the emptiness and the form, and we allow those to come together. And you'll notice that they always come together. They can lean into one or the other. Lots of, the average person on the street really leaning into the form in a really kind of contracted way. The average yogi really leaning into the emptiness in a different kind of contracted way. But what we're doing here is allowing both, right? Allowing both this transcendent emptiness and the utterly immanent, rich, effulgent brocade of spontaneous appearance. And notice that's not necessarily a particular experience, right? That's not any particular experience like, oh, it feels good, or it, there's a shining white light, or everything seems like it was. It's not that every experience, no matter how not special, is like that. right? Every one of them. So even if you're having an argument in a gas station with someone who's trying to clean your windows and you don't want it, like that's still got that exact quality. You're hanging out all night in an emergency room, and there's a tremendous amount of suffering happening, and it smells like antiseptic and vomit, and it's just horrible. And that quality is still there. Everything is arising as this shining appearance in a vertiginous void. Absolutely sacred in every way. Okay, so that's the idea here, not having a particular special spiritual experience, even though in a way this is what I'm describing is a very special spiritual background to experience, but it's not the experience itself. And so that's available all the time, regardless of kind of how you feel. Questions or comments about that, or anything else? Or reports about your meditation experience? Raise your hand if you feel like talking. Yes, what's your name?
Ben.
Ben. Hi, Ben. Welcome back.
Hi, good to be here. I notice it's easier to tap into a sense of voidness or emptiness with something like sound or sensation or touch, where it feels like the sensation is sparse. There's a lot of space.
There's already space there. Yeah.
There's a lot of space where there isn't sensation.
Mm-hmm.
And sight feels like it fills space, and so it's hard to find the emptiness of sight. Do you have any recommended practices for sight?
So relax your eyes and do kind of a full see the whole of vision right now. So, not just the center of vision, but all the edges of vision. Can you do that?
Yeah.
So you relax your eyes and do that. Do you notice how everything gets kind of flat? What's behind the flatness?
It feels more like an image, like a small image in a bigger space.
Right? So that's just a one trick to start to get there. But eventually you just recognize that you're kind of, how if you're using like Blender or something, like a 3D image generation thing, you take a texture and you wrap it on a wireframe. That's what this is like. There's just visual texture, but your brain is pretending to wrap it around a wireframe. But all of that is it's really just light. Okay, so that's how you go there. All right, but it doesn't mean you can't. Of course, you can still interact with the world. All right, does that make sense?
Yeah.
Getting a feel for that?
A little bit, yeah.
Cool.
There's some back-facing visibility thing there too.
Yeah, there's actually tons of tricks you can do with it to start to get. That's just one. Other stuff? Raise your hand if you are in a reversing the stack class currently. This is the biggest physical group of reversing the stack people we've ever had. So that's those sort of advanced courses. Any questions from you guys or gals? Jay?
You were talking about non-duality, sort of stage 1 and 2. As practice progresses, do people typically go from 1 to 2, or do they just jump to 2? Or
it can happen any of those ways. Sometimes they do 2 without 1 even, but very typically, on average, it's going to be 1, then 2. Yeah. But because of the way it's taught, very, very many people just stay in non-duality 1. And that's going to be something like the typical way Advaita is taught or whatever, where there's kind of just this one awareness and everything else is kind of a delusion that's keeping you from being in the awareness.
is that the Advaita view of non-duality?
Yes. and the like the spontaneous appearance, which is a fucking miracle, is for them like it's just getting in the way. So there's a real non-duality at that level of form and emptiness. I mean, a real duality. Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. So again, it's not that it's wrong, because it's right as far as it goes. So it's a real step forward compared to normal, but then we want to go further. How was your meditation?
It was great.
Thumbs up. It was thumbs up. Cool. Other reports? How did it go? Katie?
Thanks for bringing in the energy of the earth when you did that. That was very helpful. Like it sort of added an additional amount of like a lot of spaciousness and a lot of grounding that felt very useful for the rest of the meditation. So,
Cool.
less of a report. Thank
No,
you.
You're welcome. I've been experimenting with adding the earth energy in there, and it's helpful. Eric?
Yeah, just on that note, in in traditional San Pedro ceremonies, they have lots of different kinds of objects. So there's a certain kind of meteorite stone that are really popular and used to sort of send negative, difficult energy into.
Yeah.
And when we were doing the earth energy, I just was introducing it, into my field without any intent, and things then started to go.
Just drop into it. Yeah.
Without me, I wasn't going, I'm going to take my little energy problem here, put it in the earth. It just sort of spontaneously did that. So that in that dynamic, it also offers a place for difficult things to go.
It really does. It's like a infinite sink. There's been several death sanghas a long time ago where I would talk about the hungry earth, that it's actually fed by that difficult energy. And so, yeah, it just pulls it down. Period. I don't know why that happens, but it does. So, were you raising your hand, Mark?
Yeah, I was going to ask, so not that this is a result-oriented practice, but where can that leaning back into the immanence again, where can that lead you? For myself, I feel like life feels like it's become richer, but does it do other things? Does it accelerate psychological trauma resolution? Does it take you faster or more profoundly towards kindness? Like, what are the directions? What the effects of moving this way?
I mean, it's a big question. There's a lot of answer, but in like kind of a arm wavy, quick way, I can put it in two different ways. It heals your soul, right? Or to put it another way, it encourages memory reconsolidation of everything that's ever happened into a much more resolved and open form. And it's re-engagement with the world. So it's incredibly kind and allows you to engage, right? And especially engage with beauty, right? What are we doing here if it's not beautiful, right? So beauty as compassion, beauty as expression, beauty as a way of community and interaction, all of that. None of that's possible in a void, so we got to bring it back out and engage and notice that that's not separate in any way from that primordial space. Okay, so it offers liberation is the actual answer.
Well, they've been promising liberation, the early ones, but this is the truth. This is a more profound liberation.
Well, it's certainly one you can walk around with rather than only do in a deep retreat or whatever. Yeah. Sophie.
So I was just wondering whether there is a reason why certain hair colors were easier or like stronger than others. Like, and even if I would try to really lean in, like the left one, it was just like particularly hard, while the earth one Like,
That's part of the, it's really interesting. I mean, that's part of the, remember I said we can use the mandala for a whole bunch of different things. It's almost like a skeleton key for working in every way. But that's like a diagnostic part. Like which parts are strong and bright, which parts are weaker or more difficult, show you what can be worked on,
okay.
right?
Yeah, that was my hypothesis, but I wanted to be like, maybe I'm just overanalyzing it.
Yeah,
That's how
no,
I,
it's,
that's how I felt.
yeah, it's really cool that way, right? Excellent. So thanks for joining me for this meditation. Now we'll hand things over to Katie Devaney. Do you want this, Katie?
No.
But
Just
you'll-
leave yours on. They can hear
Okay.
me. Yeah, awesome. Oh, I love not using the microphone. Yay. Thank you all for being here. Thank you, Michael. That was fantastic. Really
You're welcome.
Appreciate it. It's a good group tonight, folks. Also, the founders are here, so all three of us are here. And then there's a bunch.
The founders of Alembic.
Founders of Alembic. So, if you're still wondering what an Alembic is, you can ask one of these guys. I'm not going to tell you tonight. So if you don't know what an Alembic is, ask Eric, ask Michael. They'll tell you.
I'll tell you to ask Katie.
We have something really special coming up this weekend. And if you think you can guess what it is, you may be wrong. So the thing I want to tell you about is we have Tenzin Wangyal Rinpoche here starting tomorrow night, all weekend, leading a retreat using the 21 nails as a text, which is a text about emptiness.
It's a Bon Dzogchen text
Yeah.
about awake awareness.
So if you're curious about that, this is a really precious opportunity to be part of this retreat with this master. So it was originally going to be private, and I talked to them several times and convinced them to open it up to the community. So they agreed to do that. So that starts tomorrow night at 7:30, and there's flyers for it on the table. And the flyers say you cannot register at the door, but you can, because I talked to them, and I will be here at the door making sure you can get in. So that starts tomorrow night at 7:30. Do all of us sort of a solid and get here early if you want to be here, like show up around 7:15 or so that we're not holding the retreat and having people trickle in, because I did kind of like ask them if they could open it up to the community. So if you have more questions about that, there are flyers on the table, or you can talk to me. So I would encourage you, if you're sort of on the fence, to hop into that and see what that's about. Also, this Saturday night is the first post-COVID Death Sangha
In person.
in person in this room. If you do not have a ticket, it is hella sold out. So please don't show up at the door. But there's also like a secret thing going on that I'm not going to say on the internet, but you can talk to me in the lobby after this if you're curious about that.
Or I could turn off my microphone.
You can turn off the mic and then they'll just be waving my hands around and doing this. There's a Patreon thing tomorrow morning.
Yes.
Yes. So Michael has a Patreon. In addition to like being available for us here, he has a website and a podcast and a Patreon. And on the Patreon, twice a month, we come together for an hour to do just an AMA with Michael. So we just shoot questions at him, and he fields all of the questions. And a good time is had by all. So the next one of those is tomorrow morning. And if you
Which is for the major donors.
Okay, so you can go to the Patreon for the information about that. If you just go on Patreon and search for Michael Taft, you can find his Patreon.
There's another one 2 weeks for like almost all
for
donors.
everybody.
Yeah.
There's like a big one and a small one. So I would encourage you to sign up for that. It's really, really fun. And it's like a worldwide, Sangha on Zoom.
And come with questions.
I think that's all. Alembic is a nonprofit. Again, if you want to know what an Alembic is, ask Eric or Michael. And your donation is tax deductible. We do all of our meditation events by donation so that they're accessible to the entire community. In addition, Michael donates his portion of the dana back to Alembic. So your donation tonight is effectively doubled and tax deductible. So if you have questions about donating, you can talk to me. And we're always looking for volunteers, both to host events, to make them happen, to check people in at the door, and also to do more involved things. We have all sorts of little projects to do. And it's a really good way to tap into the community. We run meetups that are just for volunteers. We talk about practice and we work on a project. So if you're wondering what it's like to volunteer here, you can raise your hand if you volunteered here. Look at that. Like more than half the people. So if you haven't volunteered and you're curious, you can talk to any of the people who raised their hands, and they can tell you more about it. You can talk to me to get on the volunteer mailing list. Eric.
Yeah, I just wanted
How'd you
to
think?
tell folks about an event that I'm putting together for next weekend on Saturday. It'll be a day-long workshop called Reality Warriors, who's taught by a woman named Rebecca Ryuen Long Akura, who's a sensei in a Zen tradition that ultimately comes from the white plum, known as the lost coin. And it is on the somewhat recondite and hopefully somewhat exciting topic of the secret connections between Zen and the warrior way as exposed by Carlos Castaneda in the Don Juan books. So it's actually a kind of playful exploration of warriorship in relationship to the question of what the hell is reality and how do we show up for it. And she's a very dynamic and basically kind of unknown character. So I'm not really sure what's going to happen. It'll be a combination of practice and talking, but she's quite a character, and it's a fascinating way to play with some of these ideas. If you've never really been exposed to the Don Juan stuff, it's wild and wonderful and trickstery, which is a nice energy to have in this practice. So consider that. There's a little more information on it online. So hope to see some of you there.